So what I'm going to show you today is how I fixed his frozen shoulder here, okay, without doing any stretching or mobility, without doing any like Ys, Ts, or arrows or scapulas like you see other PTs do. So you've been here for 4 weeks now, okay, and we're going to show them when you first came in, show them where you started at with your range of motion.
Sure, my range of motion that I used is like I could barely get it right about here without starting to experience some pain and stiffness.
And you couldn't put on shirts, it was very struggling.
Simple things as just trying to put on a coat was difficult.
And now this is 4 weeks. We're basically on our 5th week this week, but this is 4 weeks later. Show them how high you can get up now.
Right here, no problem at all, no pain.
No pain, no problem. Yeah. Look at how ridiculous that is. And now here's the other thing. Show them now where you started with the arm.
Sure, it was right about here, okay, where it was really giving me problems. I had to squint up to even get it higher, but now, no problem at all.
So again, how many stretches have I done with you?
None.
0. Okay, and it really came down to 4 different muscles that we attacked with 4 different exercises. Once we focused on those were his main weaknesses. Then the compensation, the thing that's locking down his shoulder, those then relax, and then his mobility improves without having to stretch or without having to do any type of mobility exercises. And I also want you to understand the compensations that are really causing his shoulder to be locked down are mainly his levator in his neck, his upper trap, and the pec minor here. This exercise here is called the thumb down raise, and it works the upper section of the rear delt. So you see how this is what we're trying to develop. Just look at the indent there. So this is why he has the shoulder pain. So we're just gonna put his knee on here. He's gonna open up. He's gonna really get nice posture. For him to start, we're gonna go he's gonna keep his arm locked straight. He's gonna point the thumb down, and you don't wanna be totally down when you're starting, just a little bit of an angle that way. He's gonna touch his thigh. He's gonna come 6 to 8 inches up. And then he's going to go down to the bench right here, and he's just going to come to the top of the shoulder, and he's just moving on that plane. And right there now, do you see how relaxed his trap is? And now he can get into that lower section here of the rear delt, and that's what we're trying to do. And this is 3 pounds, okay? We want to get to 5 pounds at this stage in this zone. Once he gets to 5 pounds, then we're going to start moving up. But right now, with this 3 pounds, go ahead and what happens? Okay, he physically cannot lock in. The trap then takes over, so he's got to go here. So in order for him to develop this, he's got to stay lower, then he starts building, and then he comes higher. Then eventually the last technique is he lays down this way, and then he's moving more on this plane right here, okay? But you have to do this in stages, and we do have an app that's on our website, and if you want to learn all the details of this video, you can purchase that, and it also comes with lower body stuff as well, so you can rehab your whole body. So here's a pec deck, which is very similar to that other exercise, but that's literally how far he can come back to there and keep his shoulders down and not use his traps. And go ahead and come back farther. Watch what happens to the traps. Keep going, keep going. There. Now, and where do you feel that? You don't feel that back here, no, correct? No, you're all in the trap. Okay, now do your short range and just get the delt. So that's his true max right there in order. That's how weak that delt is. That's the limit of range of motion. Crazy. So here's a normal PT or bodybuilding reverse fly, which, yeah, if you're built up in the rear delt, it's not a bad exercise and you're gonna get this piece here of the rear delt, but where do you feel it when you're doing it? Here. All he feels is trapped. That's all he's getting. And he could do this for literally for 6 months. And he's only going to develop his trap. He's not going to develop anything. His shoulders are going to shrug up, and he's just going to make that worse. And that's why you can't start with this. You can move on to this, but you're virtually just limiting yourself with a foundation where you can actually improve his shoulders.
As far as your range of motion before you started with me, or when it was hurt, like you couldn't like lift your hand up to here. Like
I could get my hands sort of above 90 degrees. But not much higher.
And now, why don't you just show right now how high you can get it up and how there's no issues?
So now I can do a raise to the front.
So this exercise is called the delt back, and it works the lower section of the rear delt. So let's see how there's no development here, that lower section of the rear delt. I can feel the muscle. It's like a little lump, but see how there's really nothing, like right there. So that's what's causing the shoulder pain. So when he starts here with this exercise, we're going to touch the bottom edge of the pocket. We're going to roll this shoulder forward. We're going to let this relax. The more this elbow comes back, the more he's going to use his trap and his rhomboid. So in order to lock in that lower section, we have to let that relax down. So you really want to fold down. You don't want to have any posture here. It's actually the exact opposite. And then what we're going to do is, once this is down like this, you want to feel like you're taking it and rolling it that way. Now we're going to come out here and you're just going to hold it. This is kind of how we start. So the client, push this, yeah, right there. So the client can learn how to lock into this muscle right here. And you're just going to hold that for 30 seconds and just learn how to fire that. Feel that right there?
Yep.
Now watch. Let your elbow creep in. Let the shoulder roll back. Where do you feel it now? Upper trap?
Yeah, right up.
So now he just starts getting his trap. So we have to eliminate it by really locking down here into this angle. So once the client learns how to lock into it, then they can start moving with it. Go ahead, forward and back. And notice how he's not coming back super far. He's just coming back to his hip, and he's just learning how to lock into that muscle. So this is, you get the Ys, Ts, and arrows. I already showed you the Ys and the Ts. These are the arrows, kind of similar to the other exercises did, but where do you feel this when you're doing it? Into the trap?
Right up here. Yeah.
Right through the neck. So and he doesn't even feel it. You don't feel it anywhere in this rear delt at all. Could he use this exercise later on? Yeah, we do. But it's impossible in the initial stages because all he's going to do is just overdevelop his trap, and he gets no development of the problem area that's so weak that's causing the shoulder discomfort and lack of range of motion for the frozen shoulder. This is the fourth exercise called the Teres pull down, and it works the Teres major. So see how this is just basically all skin. There's barely any development there, and that's what's causing the issues. This is just a scap. It looks like the muscle's pushed out, but it's the scap pushed out. But the Teres is very underdeveloped. There's really no development there. So we're going to show you just straight on here without the cable because it just looks better with filming. It's easier to see. Now we showed you this. You can do it kneeling with one leg up that you see in other videos. You can do it seated if it bothers your knee. And what he's going to do is just going to take an angle, just like that. He's going to put his fist underneath here and he's going to drop there. That's the basic position. And he's going to take this fist away, arch his back, and you see now he maintains this fist angle here. He doesn't let the elbow come down any farther. If you come down too far, then the shoulder rounds forward. So we need to start here, and then he's going to push his, just stay right there, just hold it, push the shoulder down, engage the Teres, and then he pushes that shoulder down to engage the Teres there, and he just holds it there without the elbow pulling back farther. That's the basic position. And then obviously you apply that over to the cable, and then you can squeeze right into the Teres when you're doing this here. But again, the key is not to pull back too far, then the shoulder rounds and everything goes into the front of the shoulder rather than the Teres. So here's another PT exercise that everyone loves doing here, okay? And all he's really working right now are his rhomboids, but do you feel this Teres working?
No,
look at it. It's just skin. Yeah. There's nothing here because look at his shoulder. His shoulder's out of place, so this is physically impossible for him to even work his lats or his Teres at this point. So here's like a general pull down, exercise that people do in order to develop the Teres. And like the Teres isn't even working. Look, it's not even working. And look at his shoulder, because his shoulder's so pushed forward here, it's physically impossible for him to even work the Teres major in this position with the frozen shoulder or a labrum tear. So this is the fourth exercise. It works the Infraspinatus. If you want to learn more, we did a full video on it. It's up here in the corner, and you can just click on that, and then that'll take you through a whole series of rotator cuff from start point to end point.